Your life.
It has been rightly said that learning is more effective when it is an active rather than a passive process. A very warm afternoon to everyone present here. I am Sonal Jain, and it is my honor to welcome you all to today's session on how to get back to pre-COVID normalcy, dilemmas, and hope. With the COVID crisis gradually coming to a halt, it is our pleasure to inform you that we have now commenced face-to-face teaching, although in a hybrid mode. All the students are greatly encouraged to come to the campus to experience a more hands-on teaching learning process. However, the pandemic and its impact has led to a significant reluctance on the part of students as well as parents. Keeping their concerns in mind, we have organized this session for all the students, parents, and faculty, wherein our panelist, Dr. Harish Shetty, an eminent psychiatrist, will be demystifying their anxiety and concerns with regards to getting back to the pre-COVID normal. The dynamic nature of our institution is a testament to its commitment to evolve and provide the best possible education in an ever-changing world under the direction of our director, Dr. Shashikala Gurpur. Listed as one of the 100 legal luminaries of India by LexisNexis, Dr. Shashikala Gurpur is a Fulbright scholar, distinguished academician, and an excellent orator, having presented more than 325 invited lectures, workshops, and seminars across India and abroad. She has been conferred with the Jean Monnet Chair on EU Climate Justice Law, Governance, Management, and Policy by the European Union. She has an outstanding career with a wide range of experience in teaching for more than 26 years, which includes tenures in NLSIU Bangalore, University College Cork, Ireland, and other prestigious institutions, as well as in research and industry, and is continuing with Symbiosis Law School since 2007. She is a pioneer of European Union legal studies in India as well as abroad. Ma'am has been conferred with the annual Kittur Rani Chennamma Award 2018 to 19 by the Government of Karnataka for her excellent achievement in the field of education and contribution to women empowerment. Dr. Gurpur is a former member of the Law Commission of India. Currently, she is a member of the Curriculum Development Committee, Bar Council of India, and Academic Council of National Judicial Academy, Bhopal. Ma'am's support for our visions and ventures has always been a source of inspiration and morale for the SLS community. I now invite ma'am to deliver the welcome address for the gathering.
Good evening, one and all, particularly our keynote speaker today and the guest, Dr. Harish Shetty. Sir, would we call you as a guest or a host? Is a confusing nomenclature because you are our distinguished visiting professor and you have been a great source of strength and inspiration for us in the trying times of 2+1 wave of COVID. So I remember after we were coming out of the first wave, we had a lot of hope. And then suddenly there was cold water poured on our hope with the second wave coming with a more aggressive face. And then we didn't have the courage to bring the students back, or we did not know how to fix the broken morale of our parents and all stakeholders. And today we are on the face of coming out of the third wave and being very confident, and most of us being vaccinated with double vaccination or either of the vaccinations and RT-PCR, making us eligible to be in this campus. Now, Doctor, I think mental health dimension itself is very new in India, and people seem to think that what is obvious in the form of physical health is the most dominant perspective of health. And the way in which mental health or mental issues affect the physical health also have come to the fore in science itself in very recent days. And in India, we are very slow to adapt to new ideas. So in this landscape, with the ravages of the COVID left on us, it's very difficult to expect our students as well as parents to have that strong step, or let us say a courageous step, a positive step, to believe that we have a right to live meaningfully, we have a pursuit of excellence in our life as a right, and we should not be daunted by these challenges which come, the uncertainties which loom large from time to time. I think the human spirit, if it were to be bogged down, by adversities, we wouldn't have seen March of Civilization. Every march in civilization was at a rapid speed after the humanity witnessed a major crisis. So I was reading about the Chinese faith system in I Ching, for example. I was watching how they use I Ching. In I Ching, they say that crisis is death or it is change, which means rebirth. So what we are facing now is government has announced that things can go normal. Our university has sent out a circular to all students, which we obediently, loyally circulated to the parents and the students. But what we see is turn-in on the campus is less than 10%. It is slowly touching the pre-third wave numbers. And now that in this semester, only 3 or 4 months, or maybe 2.5 months left, tendency of the students who joined last year, who never saw the face of the college, and this year, who also did not get to have full experience of last semester or the commencement of this semester, is not to choose to come here. So we were urging in our communication, we could not compel them to come because we understand that different people have different confidence threshold, optimism threshold, expectation, fears, etc. So we said that these are the precautions you can take, and these are the assurances that we can give with being a home to very well-known COVID hospital. And these are the kinds of losses that you will have if you don't come, particularly in the Vedic thinking and in the modern scientific thinking about educational research. It is held that more than 25% of learning is peer learning. So even if we do the best job in online mode, what you learn from your peers and also from the community, the very ecosystem of the institute, will be definitely missed. So as teachers, we are concerned. As people who are accountable to the charges that the parents pay, fee that is picked up by the parents, we feel accountable. And we are more worried about the kind of other health problems which come about because of the stagnated way of living closed up in your home spaces. So with this concern in the mind, we thought there could be no other interlocutor or mediator, to speak in the strict legal language, than Dr. Shetty, who understands the mind of the youth, who is a very successful psychiatrist and who is a great advocate of law, justice, and education, and the learning needs of young adolescent and young community, we thought. So here I welcome Dr. Shetty for this very uniquely designed program, and as the resource person, and I welcome each and every student. I also welcome those parents who might be there joining their wards in listening to Dr. Shetty, and our own in-house, to assure all of you, we know that not only those who are affected by COVID, but those who had witnessed others getting affected by COVID must have been left with a lot of unhealed wounds or scars or impact. So we are very much aware. Symbiosis is one of the pioneers in institutionalizing the concept of emotional well-being center. Due to some exigency, the head of this at the university level, Dr. Girija Mahale, could not be here, but I'm sure her team members who are assigned to our campus through three different institutes are here. And they, I'm sure, would pick up the threads from today's discussion and interaction and would take it further in ensuring that students will volunteer and enthusiastically come back to their own home, which is this institute, and come back to their peers and let us say enrich that part of our pedagogy, and would be very, very happy to learn clinically from the community and other engagements, braving the fears that may have any, wiping out those fears. And then I'm sure that as teachers, we feel very enthusiastic and we feel, we can say, revitalized to see our campuses full of these enthusiastic bunch of students. I must tell you, dear students, that we have two important events which have put a different brand value on our college, which is exclusively your ownership. One is the cultural festival symbol. Student President Angira is here. She has got a very, very well worked out agenda supported by her team. And then the second one is your own Student Bar Association's unique program, innovative program, namely Symbiosis International Criminal Trial Advocacy Moot, which is designed after the world-class ICC Moot, and which is a stiff competitor and is doing better than that Moot. So these are your ideas, your ownerships, and can you take satisfaction by again doing it online? So can we get into a better mode of not making it only online, but hybrid or fully offline? So these are the challenges that we have. Here is the fear that we have. Between the two, we have a great person in Dr. Shetty, who I'm sure would be better than us in convincing you and changing the stage for us in welcoming next 3 months in a very, very brave and fully engaged way by you students and by you, dear parents, if any, who are listening to this whole exercise. So Dr. Shetty has been sometimes he himself has initiated these ideas by sending us his very awe-inspiring educative posts. So many times we would have picked up those ideas. We have strengthened our idea about vulnerability and rights in terms of mental health because of his engagement, among many other things. And when we proposed criminal justice reforms, it was Dr. Shetty who gave us a lot of ideas on the plight of the prisoners, the plight of the NDPS related issues, and even the reforms in terms of mental disability interfering with criminal responsibility. So students, please don't have that kind of mental health as not law or it is some other alien discipline for us. Our discipline is very deeply embedded in that, especially if you look at the Stanford University's whole agenda on neurobiophysiology and neuropsychological dimensions into law. We have a long way to go as a nation and as a group of researchers and academics and as a law school and as practitioners. So I hope that this will trigger that academic dimension in addition to our process reform by seeing this campus filled with at least 50% students of the total population in next 2 weeks. So thank you, Compier, for that wonderful introduction and welcome one and all once again.
Thank you, ma'am, for addressing the gathering with your wise words. It is now my honor to welcome our panelist for today, Dr. Harish Shetty. Sir is an eminent psychiatrist and one of the 17 mental health workers with the World Health Organization. Sir is also involved in the training of the judiciary at the Judicial Officers Training Institute, Nagpur, supported by UNICEF on Mental Health and the Judicial Officers Training Center at Uttan, Mumbai. Sir has completed his postgraduate degree in psychological medicine and postgraduate diploma in comparative mythology from Bombay University. Sir has also worked with the victims of the Marathwada earthquake, Kandla cyclone, and the riot victims of Gujarat. With an experience of over 12 years in the field of yoga and mental health, Sir is the founder of Maitri, an organization that works with families affected by mental illness. He has further conducted a refresher course for school counselors with SNDT as a partner between 2000 to 2005. Sir is a consultant at Sevadhan De-Addiction Center and the National Addiction Research Center. Presently, Sir is also a member of the National Testing Agency by the Union Cabinet on behalf of the HRD Ministry. It is our honor to have Sir as a distinguished visiting professor at Symbiosis Law School, Pune. With this, I invite Sir to commence with today's session. Before that, for the benefit of the audience, I would like to inform that the chat box will be opened at the end of Sir's session, wherein the students as well as the parents can write their questions in the chat box. Thank you, Sir. Over to you.
Good evening, everybody. What a pleasure to be with students of an elite university that has churned hundreds of graduates, maybe more, and postgraduates. So happy to be here. So happy to be with our director, Madam Shashikala Gurupur, who has kindly asked me to speak to you all. Thanks also to Aparijita Mohanty who has been chasing me for a very long time. Sunil, thank you for your introduction. And let me start by saying, congratulations for being in this beautiful institute. And let me tell you, hundreds of students I've been speaking to across the last 2.5 years, every week in an institute. I have seen this entire business of coming from the cage to the classroom, not very difficult. A lot of young boys and girls, when I met them during the lockdown, appeared to be depressed, not interested. In fact, one boy came and told me that he wants to change his stream. And when I asked him, what do you mean by changing your stream? He said, I don't want to do law anymore. And he was passionate to do law. And so lockdown can create a lot of magical, irrational, inconsequential, and abnormal states. And one of that is, I do not like my subject, which I've already enrolled. I had so much passion, but this gap of 2 years, this online class of 2 years, being in the cage inside the house, not being able to attend the campus. And college is not about only studying. Campus is something which is so important. As ma'am said beautifully, peer learning is what is more important than anything else. So he said, मुझे छोड़ना है यार, मुझे ये law नहीं करना. And I sat down with him. When I was listening to him, we do not look at the first expression of the student. We look at stories behind the first expression, because we believe that behind every behavior is a story, behind every thought is a story, and behind that there are many stories. And then he said, Dr. Shetty, I'm really bored. I don't know what to do. I feel I'm in a cage, and I just do not want to do anything. I just want to join acting, he said. And then again, I did not dispute him. I kept listening to him. And what came out was the agony, the boredom, the issues in the family, and the problems with his friends. And all that caused a state of helplessness, a state of demoralization. बिल्कुल आत्मविश्वास टूट गई थी और बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लग रहा था उसको उस हालत में, in that state, he also believed that his parents were not fair to him, the college was not fair to him, and that he wanted to change the course completely. When I sat down with him and slowly looked at all the knots in his mind, and the knot was, my God, online teaching, online learning is so difficult. It is so boring, and being on the screen for some time or even for a longer time is absolutely no. And that agony was so big that whatever he was doing at that point of time, I did not like. As we slowly went back, I asked him about COVID, I asked him about his parents, and asked him about his days before he joined the law institute, not this college, some other college. And then he said, yes, Dr. Shetty, the 10th, I told myself that I'll be a lawyer because I've been inspired by a biography of a lawyer, whose name I do not remember now. And then he continued, though his parents were against him taking law, he was very passionate. He used to follow all the judgments after his 12th standard, which were reported in the newspapers. He saw all the landmark judgments and the pronouncements of the Supreme Courts and the High Courts, and he was well poised. But what really spoiled him was the experience of the last 2.5 years, not because of the teachers, not because of anybody else, because of the COVID pandemic. And when he said, I still remember that sentence he said, which really struck me, I feel I have no future. And when he said, I feel I have no future, I went behind this sentence and I said, why do you feel so? He said, my present is so bad. So the COVID epidemic can numb your mind, can play games with your mind. And actually, when you are numb, your rational thinking is affected. You get disinterested in what you have been doing and you get completely disenchanted. बातें सुनते सुनते उसकी मैंने कहा देखो बात सही है आपके जगह पर मैं होता तो मैं भी बोर होता. And I said, do not worry. As the Omicron wave has subsided, people are thronging into colleges and schools. Just go there and try it out for the next 2-3 months. I agreed. And then he said, will you be in touch with me? I said, of course. Then I asked him one question. And that is, in your online class, have you made a few friends, or have you felt like chatting to some of them who are already on learning. He said, yes, not only chatting, Dr. Shetty, forget the law, but I want to go and meet them in the college. I said, that is the spirit. My dear friends, a lot of young boys and girls who appear depressed. And you appear depressed in the last 2.5 years. A lot of young boys and girls, both in school and colleges, who appeared very depressed in the last 2.5 years. Suddenly, when they went to school and college, their mind opened. When they did hi-fi to their friends, when they actually met their teachers, when they felt the campus, when they had a powder as a snack in the canteen, when they sat down and started talking to everybody, the entire energy, the entire mood has been lifted for a large number of students. So, my dear friends, case to the classroom can have 3 or 4 manifestations. One is, well, this is the right thing. Many students tell me that they don't want to go to the classroom. They want to be doing online. There's a section of the students who are very happy with online. Yeah, wahan jaake kyun takleef karo, ye bahut acha hai. And they feel good about all this, and they forget that ultimately solitude is a good place to visit, but a bad place to stay. And it's so important to meet each other. The second group said that this is the state of affairs. Nothing will change. The fourth wave will come, and there's no point in going anywhere. And the third group all wanted to go to the college as soon as we can. So, my dear friends, when your mind is numbed, either by the virus or by things happening around you, आसपास में बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. माँ बाप को कोविड हुआ होगा, अपने आप को कोविड हुआ होगा, अपने आसपास में लोगों ने मृत्यु पाई होगी, and they may have passed away, and all this can really play big games. Now, when I say that going to the campus will change the mood, when I told that boy, he believed it, and now he has gone. Well, during COVID, a lot of things may have happened. Human being is a bundle of thoughts, feelings, and behavior. All of us, okay? And when this entire system in the brain or in the body goes haywire, our thinking can go absolutely awry. I still remember this girl who said, I wish my campus opens. And when my campus opens, I would go and stay in the hostel. And when I go and stay in the hostel, the first thing is I'm going to chill big time. We have not chilled at all for a long time. And I'm going to go and chill with my friends, and I'm not going to lose that opportunity. And I said, this is exactly what happens. Sometimes when you're in a cage, when you come out, you want to run faster than anybody. You want to do all the things you have missed across the last 2.5 years. And you want to hit the roof by enjoying and by doing big things. When she said, can I do all this, Dr. Shetty? I said, it's your life, your choice. कैंपस में जाऊंगा, मैं रोज शाम को चिल करूंगा, मैं रोज पार्टी मनाऊंगा, और मुझे ये 2.5 साल का जो तकलीफ है, I am going to heal myself by really hitting hard all the places where I really wanted to go around the campus. But is that right? I don't think so. So as you get into the campus, which you will, because ultimately what we remember after 10 years is not only the teachers, but our campus life. Our campus life, our memories, our teaching becomes knowledge. And when knowledge and memories of life come together, there's a revolution. Ultimately, it is dil and skill which we learn in our campuses. Dil, humanizing the entire education. Dil, humanizing the entire skills which we have learned. Skill, so that we are able to be one step ahead. We have the cutting edge, which really can make a difference to a lot of people as we take up our professions. And she said, no, Dr. Shetty, I can't resist. I said, fine, you understand that you can't resist, but what is important is start slow, be mindful, enjoy your life, be mindful, take one step at a time. Don't believe and behave like people who observe complete teetotalers, who really observe a month of a religious month and do not drink. And once that month is over, they go and hit the bottle, 3 bottles a day or 2 bottles a day. Or even when the month is about to start, like Shravan, they would hit the gutter, and we call that gutteri amos. No, I said, you go, meet your friends and chill one step at a time. Be mindful of chilling. And what is very important is start micro chilling. Start chilling little by little, and you chill little by little. you will be able to harmonize the entire joy and fun so that education is not affected. So ultimately, in an institute, it's dil and it's skill. And both you learn in the campus and in the classroom. There was this other boy who said, my father does not allow me to go. He said, only 3 months left. What's the point? Let the college do hybrid. And it's good for the college to take an exam online. And the father said, I will not take the risk because COVID is not gone, number one. और 3 महीने के लिए मैं अपनी बेटी को नहीं भेजूंगा. He was absolutely convinced and sure that he will not do anything which probably in his mind would cause a risk to the life of his daughter. And when I said this, the girl was very obedient. He said, मैं मेरे पिताजी जो कहेंगे वही करूंगा. मैं 3 महीने के लिए कॉलेज नहीं जाऊंगा. मैं हाइब्रिड करूंगा. मैं कॉलेज को रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि एग्जाम्स भी ऑनलाइन ले. And I said, my dear girl, tell me the friends you had in your 12th standard. And she gave me a list of friends in the 12th standard. Then I asked her, tell me your friends in the campus. She said, I have no friends because the campus did not ever open. I don't feel the longing for any of my friends who are there online. I've never met them. I've never felt them in terms of my heart or in terms of my mind. I have never interacted with them. So I do not have those friends. So I do not have that feeling to go to the campus and really say hi-fi and start enjoying. I said, yes, that's right. You had friends in the 12th standard with whom you were actually meeting even now around your house, and you still would go out with them and go for a coffee, and you still don't have the connectivity with the friends in the campus. And she said that. And I said, my dear friend, the 12th standard friends will remain probably all your life. The school friends will also remain all your life. But what is important is to acquire skills and knowledge. And if learning has to be very effective, what is very important is you need to have joy, fun, and live in a community or be in a community inside the college or inside the hostel. And what is very important to understand is living skills are learned not only at home, but living skills are learned when young boys and girls live and interact in the college, in the hostel, inside the college, and at times outside the college. So you're not going to learn only law or management. I've always said that all my life, that CEOs are not born in MBA institutes. They're born in schools and colleges and in families. So what is important for you, my dear girl, I told her, to go and connect, because connectedness improves health. Connectedness brings down anxiety about learning. Connectedness also improves your interest in the learning. And she said, I'll try, Dr. Shetty, but if I fail, I'll give you a call. I said, you will not fail, because once you go there, your vibrancy will be visible. Once you go there and meet others, your vibrancy will be felt. And once you go, it's like a single cricketer playing on a pitch and practicing on a pitch with one bowler. And when he plays and practices with a large number of with his team on the nets, there is more enthusiasm, there is more joy, there is more fun, and there is good mental health. So what is very important is I would request each one of you and all your friends who are not on the show to come back to college at the earliest. Not because Madam Shashikala told me, no, it's because that's what life is all about. But how will you convince your parents? This girl said, Dr. Shetty, I would go, but my father is extremely protective and it's become so difficult. And there are 3 ways of convincing your parents if they actually stop you. I'm sure parents don't stop you, but if they do. And one way is to ask your parent to talk to your friend's parent who has opted to go to college. The second way is to ask your parent to talk to your faculties who will reassure them completely that the best thing is to go to the college. And the third thing is looking into your eyes of your father and asking him, yaar, mujh par vishwas nahi, daddy. मैं जाऊंगा, मुझे अच्छा लगेगा. पता है आप भी आपके कैंपस के बारे में कितना बात करते थे, मुझे भी अपना कैंपस में जाना है. Ultimately you remember the campus for love, for joy and for friendship, and you remember the teachers for learning and skill. Ultimately dil and skill both are important. You will not get that if you are stationed inside the house. But then lot of us have lot of resentments against teachers. ये यार ये कुछ सिखाती नहीं है, ये कुछ उसे समझता नहीं, ऑनलाइन में मुझे समझ में भी नहीं आता, और क्या यार ये ऑनलाइन में ऐसे रहा तो कॉलेज में कैसा होगा. Teachers have found it so difficult. I, as a teacher, would say and admit, I have found it so difficult to teach online. Sometimes I need graphs, sometimes I need things, sometimes I need to move around the class and meet the children. Sometimes I need to really I need to actually animate and do a lot of things. I can't do it on the screen, which is 8 inches by 7 inches. I can't do it. And so sometimes you all will believe that this teacher probably has not done justice towards subject, but that is not true. When a teacher is able to move across the class and move in the class, when a teacher is able to look into the eyes of all the teachers, and as students are able to look into the eyes of teachers and their friends around, there is magic. Ultimately, what is so important is that the subject should dance in the class. The words on the page should dance on the book. And there has to be energy. And for that energy, you might find a different teacher offline as compared to a teacher online. And that experience is something you need to really, really feel. Now we'll say, Dr. Shetty, क्या बोल रहे हैं? उन्हें क्या पता है? हमें क्या कितनी तकलीफ थी? इतनी लंबी exams, इतनी लंबी classes, फिर exams, फिर assignments. And sometimes I agree that stressed teachers may give more assignments. Stressed teachers may be a little rude. And all teachers have also suffered. And probably they have gone through the same thing which you and I have actually gone through. Probably I've seen many teachers who have lost their husbands or their wives in COVID. There are many teachers who have been hospitalized and still not completely recovered from the COVID. And there are many teachers who have been as comfortable online as you are. My dear friends, law needs a dynamic interaction. Management needs a dynamic interaction. All the subjects which you teach needs a dynamic interaction. You have to ask questions. You have to also discuss till you reach the truth. And that is a process which is long, and that needs people live in your classroom. And so this girl who said that I want to enjoy, I said little by little, and this girl who said he will not come, she has agreed to go. My dear friends, one thing is very important for us to understand. Sometimes teachers and parents, as adults, probably are not in the right mental state. In COVID, I'll tell you 3 or 4 things happened in families. Either the families were absolutely very irritable because they could not manage the agony and all the emotion which happened around the time of the virus, number one. Number two, they became demotivated, quite numb, and probably also sad. Number three is one of the members in the family has become very phobic and refuses to go out of the house. And it really plays a big toll on the family. And we do not know, and they do not know what to do. Or probably one of the members of the family is so irritable, so sad, so depressed that he or she has become dysfunctional, and that affected the entire family. So this could be a story in your family. This could be a story among the teachers. This could be a story even among moms and dads. So how do we identify that? Number one, first yourself. I feel disinterested, okay? And when you feel disinterested, when you lock that in your mind, what happens is disinterested leads to demoralization. And when you unlock that completely, what exactly happens is disinterested, the dis goes away and the interest actually starts. Which means if the students say that, ma'am, I really do not like this subject at all, I'm completely disinterested, there is no need for teachers, faculty, peers, families to really grieve over that. You know why? Because what is very important is when disinterest expresses itself, the dis goes and the interest starts little by little. But when the disinterest is locked in the mind, it multiplies and a small hillock becomes Mount Everest. It's so important not to pretend and say, this is what is my state. And when you say that, it has been very difficult for students to ask questions online. And it's very difficult for even teachers to really answer all the grievances or all the questions online. And now we are actually in the classroom. And so many of us may have not really kept pace with the subjects or with the course or with all the processes. This is the time to say, I will make the best of every class as I reach my campus, and I'm going to reach my campus. And what will I do? I will put my hands as often as I can and really tell my teacher, this is a concept you taught me 3 months ago. I have not understood. This is a concept which I heard from you, ma'am or sir, 2.5 months ago. I actually don't. So, so go back, audit your learning. And when you audit your learning, you'll find that there have been gaps. Not in all cases, but in large number, and fill the gaps. Now it's like in the monsoon, if there's a pit on the road, you may not be able to fill it when the rains are heavy. But once the rains abate, the municipality can really fill the potholes so that there are no accidents. And what is very important to understand as of now, my dear friends, is this the time to put your hands up? Not only to say high five, but to tell your teachers, ye mujhe sikha, wo mujhe nahi samjha, ye nahi gusa. And do not expect the teachers to be always very kind and compassionate. They are like our mothers. They also would get upset and angry. And they would say, yaar, I taught you with so much passion. I really drilled into you, but you forgot it. Kya kare yaar? Apna skull ka jo haddi hai na thoda zyada hai. And no teacher would feel offended to repeat or teach the concept all over again, because ultimately teachers not only need salaries, but they need to find meaning in life. And meaning in life is when they actually create a trance state in the classroom, and when they actually are able to satisfy the curiosity or attempt to satisfy the curiosity or the learning gaps of children. My dear friends, I love that. I still remember when I teach a course, even now, I would always believe that the last student rules, which means it's a rule in hiking, the last hiker is extremely important for the person who leads the entire team, which means that unless I answer all the queries in my class online, I don't leave. And unless I answer all the queries in my classroom, I don't leave. Maybe I would say, I'll come back and answer your query. So my friends, kill shame, seek help. No shame. If I've not understood, there is no shame. If I've been a topper all throughout and I have not understood in this 3rd semester or 4th semester or 5th semester or 7th semester, no shame at all. Accepting that I have not understood and accepting that my teacher is a friend is one of the biggest qualities of a human being. And that is the quality which makes you rise right up to the top. Law is such a great profession that in the High Court, when I've been to the High Court so often, the High Court judges, when I've been to the Supreme Court, rarely, I've seen the judges opening their books and looking at clauses, case laws, and also asking the lawyer across, do you have anything which you can actually tell me? It's such an open, democratic process where no one believes he or she knows everything. And that's the beauty of your subject. And if you want to complement that, remember, kill shame and seek help. As I say this, my dear friends, I also know that one symptom which is very common in the COVID pandemic is bhai, bhiti, boy, pedi, fear. And it is extremely common. And 3 things which I see in students across the country, I've been talking to students across the country, teachers across the country, is fear, anxiety, unknown anxiety. Number 2, a little fear about uncertainty. Time has been wasted. I had planned this, I had planned that. After this, I would have gone here, gone there. Everything is stuck. And we have a second catastrophe happening in Europe. And that uncertainty, all my plans have gone haywire. That's the second. And third is boredom. Very lack of inertia and boredom. Let me tell you a little more about all this. So fear, this is an unexplained fear. It could have come because we were locked. It could have come because we have seen a lot of gory images on the TV. It could have come because we have heard and talked a lot of things during the time of COVID. So that fear, the fear which is there could be because of a multiple reasons. And when you're scared for multiple reasons, what happens is when you have a responsibility, that becomes the last straw on the camel's back. Everything looks very big. And let me tell you 3 ways of killing the fear. 3 ways of killing the fear is laugh with your friends as much as you can without reason. Make fun of your pain, which you experience across time, though being sensitive to those who have lost their members in the family, not being inside, but make fun. First is humor. Humor dissolves fears, tears, and anger. And that is so, so important. Laugh without reason, but be sensitive when we talk about grief of a student. That's number one. Number two, what is also important is analyze your fear, which means what fear can have different symptoms. Say, for example, some people feel, my God, my heart beats faster when I actually would think of going back to college, or my heart beats faster when I've gone to the college because I do not know what is going to happen in my exam. I've done very well I've done very bad in the last few semesters. Will I do still bad in next semester? And what is so important for us to understand is, number one, I will try and do my best. COVID times is dangerous times, and we all are in a state of flux. I will remain on the wicket as a cricketer, in spite of the balls going through my ears or even pounding my head occasionally. I'll stick and remain on the wicket. I'll remain there. What is so important is not to hit a sixer when the pitch is misbehaving, and not to hit the ball over and out of the stadium when the weather is bad. What is important is staying put in the wicket. So which means with all the fears, if you stay put, and if your commitment to stay put is big, fear slowly dissolves. So first is humor, second is self imprinted commitment, which improves through self-talk. And self-talk is, I will stay on the wicket. I might get bored in the class, but I'll sit in the class. I might not understand the concept. I'll take help, but I'll sit in the class. I will not bunk. I will not go haywire. I will not take weed or hash. I will not be absent in the class. I will trouble my teachers as much as I can. So humor, and second is commitment. And third thing by which the fear can go down, honestly, is to do Eastern practices. Well, Eastern practices are very cool. Remember, years ago, when Americans said, don't use gobar in your fields, it will not improve the yield of your crop. Use pesticides, they kill the crop. And today, we have organic food, and we've gone back to own things. So if you want to really bring down your fear, use Eastern philosophies. And let me tell you, my dear friends, if you manipulate your breath and take slow, deep breath for 10, 15 minutes every day in the morning, I don't want to use the name of the pranayam, which Americans call it cardiac coherent breathing. That also brings down your fear. Of course, sharing your feelings also brings down your fear. Whatever you are, you could have been a topper in the 10th and topper in the 12th, and you must have done great in your first semester or second semester, and you're not doing well now. Perfectly all right. Accepting that you are the best in the past, but as of now, you're vulnerable. Accepting your vulnerability brings down your vulnerability and brings down fear. My dear friends, the third most important thing to bring down fear is, if you are sleeping less, my dear friends, if your concentration is less because of your anxiety, and if you feel that you cannot concentrate beyond a point, exercise also dissolves fears. Running around the campus, picking up some time in the morning, 15 minutes, to some vigorous exercise, brings down fears. So this fears can be managed, and also irrational fears about COVID coming back, the fourth wave, etc. Be aware of the facts which are there, and be aware of what is happening around. The fears actually go down. And then you have uncertainty, fears of the future. Well, everything is uncertain, yeah. There could be a world war tomorrow, we do not know. But the point is, uncertainty goes down when you focus week after week, which means I will focus on this week. I will study these things. I will have fun with my friends. I'll spend my weekend joyfully. I'll go to the guardian's house if they are there in Pune. I will talk to my parents every day, and I'll remain as calm as I can. And if parents have to call up the kids, remember, don't ask them exams. Don't ask them about grades. Don't ask them about whether they've attended or not. Talk to them about what you are doing in your homes. Parents who talk to children about what they did in their homes, light-hearted banter. The children also share light-hearted banter, and then there's bonding. Bonding on the phone is a skill. And when fear exists on both sides, there's no bonding. There is centrifugal forces which come into play. But when you talk about light banter, bonding is better. Automatically, students talk about the exam without they asking, because they do not feel threatened and do not feel judgmental at all. My dear friends, so Future, we do not know. But what is important? We know what we can do this week. And when we do well every week, future slowly starts brightening, which means if you open your door when the sun is rising, little by little, the rays slowly come into the head, come into our minds, and comes into the house. So remember, uncertainty can be actually broken, not by planning big time, long time, by planning week after week. My dear friends, boredom is worse than depression. Boredom you can treat depression, but you can't treat boredom, because boredom is inertia. Boredom is procrastination. Boredom is, I will do it tomorrow. And the tomorrow never comes. Boredom is looking at them and saying, my God, this is too heavy. I will not be able to manage it. Boredom is when assignments are not complete and when the group assignments are not complete. Lying to the teacher. And my dear teachers, let me tell you one thing. You need to know these 4 hours. 4 hours during these times. First is reassurance. Reassure the student all the time. Assignment aaj nahi hua, koi baat nahi, kal de de. Kal nahi hua, koi baat nahi, parsu de de. Koi baat nahi, chautha din de de. Nahi karna hai to main sikhaunga, mere saath aake karo. Constant reassurance. Sometimes they will kill their grandfathers, their grandmothers and delay. No issue at all. Constant reassurance will get work done. Reassurance. Remember, rude teachers are stress teachers. Do not play the foot rule teacher role. Mujhe chahiye to chahiye. I'm disciplined. Are disciplined nahi yaar, tum obsessive ho. Kai ka discipline? There's a difference between discipline and being obsessive. Discipline has disciple in that word. Disciple. And when teachers look at discipline as taking care of my disciples, which means I'll be flexible, a reassurance to the child. And that will bring the child or student close to you. He will feel like doing it. So discipline and obsessive are 2 different things. My time ka pakka hu. Zindagi bhar maine kabhi aisa nahi kiya. Arey yaar, chhod do sab yaar. Number 2, first is reassurance. Number 2 is remediation. And what is remediation? Is understanding that the learning gap is big and I'll have to do something more about it. Remediation is so important. I will correct things as of now, and that is so important. And number 3 is reform. And reform means every teacher should understand that in this disaster, he or she will jump the developmental level. He or she will change the way she teaches. Crisis brings down a developmental change, which means what is very important is this COVID is like redeveloping your building, destroying the old building, taking all the furniture and what you have had, all the good things you have had, your TV and your fridge and your air condition, and getting into a developmental mode for a new building. So redevelopment, so reform in teaching is also the 3rd. And the 4th R is research. What worked in your class across the last 2 years when you actually taught online? What worked and what did not work? So my dear teacher, remember reassurance, remember remediation, remember reform, and remember research. And when you do this, you'll find that there's actually a translate in the class. My dear students, when you go into the class, how to beat that inertia? Inertia, when I said, when you say disinterested, when you accept that you're disinterested, this goes interest starts. It's like when you say that I hate my uncle. I'll tell you about my hatred of my uncle. I tell people when you share hatred goes down and slowly dissolves. It's like hatred is like an ice cube in the freezer, and you bring it out on the table in room temperature, slowly start to dissolve. So my dear kids, let me also tell you something more before I stop so that I can answer all your questions. I have all the time. And please ask me all your questions. Please ask me the most provocative question. Sometimes it so happens, did you have had a girlfriend and a boyfriend? Or you may have had a new boyfriend or girlfriend because you did not go to the college, you were at your hometown, and suddenly you leave them. Or you had a boyfriend or a girlfriend in the college, and you suddenly could not actually meet them. And sometimes I found relationships breaking because of COVID, which means what is important for us to understand is that relationships break because of distance. It also breaks because when the mind is numb, it plays games and you are very irritable and probably also suspicious of each other. And the mind is numb, it also breaks because you can't meet, there's no touch, there's no talk, there's no time. And if that has happened, and that really has complicated your entire state as of now, what to do? The best thing is to revisit the relationship. Find out what are the sentences you uttered which were wrong, and really go back and really acknowledge, probably apologize, and probably say sorry. One big sorry, and picking up everything what you've done, because mind can play games. There's a lot of violence inside the house in COVID. Apart from there's a lot of empathy, but there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of breakup of relationships. There's a lot of violence between fathers and mothers, and that I think is so important. And that is something new too. Inertia can also be broken by, not by a glass of whiskey, not by a glass of beer either. It gets broken when students share what they did during the COVID with each other. Not about the great glories, but about the real stories. So many students probably have had parents who suffered from COVID and who are not completely all that. Few of you all may have lost your parents. So when you share your most vulnerable feelings, girls share it much better than the boys. Boys find it very difficult, and if they do that, very easily they'll find they will attain balance and they'll be able to manage things much better. My dear friends, teachers and students were in the same state, and I have seen teachers struggling, students also struggling. But a large number of students were not affected at all, because they were in a place where they did not get affected. They were perfectly all right by doing online, and they're scoring good marks in spite of doing online, and they come to school and they're not affected by anybody else. And also some of them feel others who are really affected by it are kids. How the hell are they affected? And what is so important here? What is so important here, all those guys who are reassured automatically, or God has given them genes to really cope with the entire disaster, please stretch your hand and help those who are in difficulty. Learning is not only by asking your teacher, learning is also by asking your fellow student. If you are endowed with better learning across the disaster, you're coped much better, please take a class inside your hostel room. My son, when he did his management at one of the IIMs, he was very bad in mathematics. And what he learned his mathematics was not from the teachers, but his peers. He was not an engineer, so he sat down with his peers, and the peers were so nice. And they took classrooms in their hostel rooms, and they taught the other children. And he's so grateful to them. And he also taught them something which he understood. So what is so important is there are classrooms and there are hostel rooms, and both are so important. Both are very important. Both are really good. He has gone back to his college for his reunion, and he says he loves to meet all those students who have helped him, his seniors and himself. And he loved all those teachers because they never said no when they came for help. So all those who have managed themselves extremely well, remember to help your students, because ultimately COVID has taught us one big thing. The RNA virus has changed the DNA of mankind. And what has it done? It has really told mankind that we are always interdependent. Beyond the layers of independence are layers of dependence. As we are dependent on air, water, soil, and food, we are also dependent on each other for learning, my dear friends. So that is something we need to do. You guys will become great lawyers. You guys will become great corporate lawyers. You guys will become judges. I train the judicial officers both at the National Academy and also at the State Academy. And I see bright minds. And let me tell you, law teaches you to be logical. Law also teaches you to be humane. I said that in the beginning, dil or skill. And when they both synergize, there is a revolution. So my dear friends, I'm so restless to meet you in your campus. And I promised Shashikala ma'am to take a class on something which can bring mental health and law together very soon, because I want to meet you in your campus. I want to feel the energy of these young boys and girls which has kept me alive. and which has kept me young across my lifetime, my dear friends. The only way by which I maintain my mental health is by talking to the youth in schools and colleges. Many of them come and tell me, many professors come and tell me, you're doing a lot of service. And ma'am also told me, no, for me to feel the energy of the young in India is to feel life. To feel the energy of the young in India is to absorb cosmic learning without being taught. To feel the energy of young India in the classrooms is simply a joy which cannot be measured by any language, which cannot be described by any words. That is what I'm yearning for. As I slowly stop, my dear friends, so that you can ask me a lot of questions, I would like to say few things more. Well, you know what? COVID has helped us focus on mental health and physical health because ultimately we do not know how many waves we'll get. But we know only one thing. If you improve your immunity and if you focus on mental health, you will be saved from all COVIDs in the future. That's something in our hands. That's something in our hands. So experts have said across the world that we do not know whether we'll have how many waves. As of now, it does not look that there will be a wave. But mathematicians have their style of predicting things, but they do not understand that the biology does not follow mathematics. The organisms don't follow rules of mathematics. So Kanpur IIT said that there could be a second, fourth wave in June. I do not believe in mathematics. I do not know what will happen, but I know only one thing, which ek to pakka pata hai. That is, my dear friends, you can, if you focus on your immunity and your mental health, everything will be taken care of, which means, bhaiya, bhai log, सो जाओ जरा, रात की नींद मत बिगाड़ो. नेटफ्लिक्स की जो छोरियां हैं, जो हैंडसम लोगों हैं ना, ज्यादा देखोगे ना तो स्लीप डिप्रिवेशन हो जाएगा, और स्लीप डिप्रिवेशन हुआ ना लग जाएगी तुम्हारी, लग जाएगी. There's no translation for this word in English. And sleep deprivation will bring down immunity. It will shorten your life. It will shorten your life. It will bring down your immunity and will really cause host of problems. So please take care of your sleep as much as you take care of your clothes. Number 2, my dear friends, exercise without fail. Number 3, my dear friends, what is so important is do some amount of yoga. More American students are doing yoga than Indian students, by the way. And number 4, my dear friends, reunite with your teachers as never before. Knock their doors of the mind, knock their doors of the heart, so that they give you what they can when you are in the campus. And last is, you are the counselors of your teachers, my dear friend, and your parents. Remember, it's not for the parents, and the teachers should understand you guys. You are also the counselors of your teachers and your parents. When your father or your mother has lost a job, see that you give him hope. See that you also do not spend a lot of money in your campus when they need money. Or if your parents have really lost hope because somebody has passed away, see that you keep in touch with them all the time. See that you're very compassionate to your teachers and your parents. With this, my dear friends, let me tell you that there is hope. Disinterest, when shared, this vanishes, interest comes up. And let us convert our activity in the campus for as many months or as many years you can by blending dil with skill. With this, thank you everybody, and I'm waiting for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. I'm positive that this session has motivated and inspired a lot of our students and addressed their concerns. We would now like to give the audience a chance to ask questions and clarify their doubts and concerns through a question-answer session. The chat box is now open for all the students and parents to ask their questions. This session will be moderated by Dr. Dhanaji Jadhav, sir, Associate Professor and Deputy Director Administration at Symbiosis Law School, Pune. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Sonal. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful.
Hello, Dhanaji. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir. It's been always pleasure to hear you, and as usually,
you look so handsome with your new mustache and your
thank you, thank you. Thank you for such a wonderful and interesting session. As you have rightly referred that when the entire system was virtually put on a online mode. As like a cricket match, how wonderful the batsman may be there, he may find it very difficult to bat well when the pitch is new. It was equally applicable when the entire system was put on a virtual mode, when the teachers were trying to get accustomed with the new system of online teaching and delivery. Obviously, the mutual bond which you referred, which exists, especially in physical teaching learning, and that purely gives a utmost satisfaction to the teacher, not because it is just a reciprocating process. It is because of that eye to eye contact in physical learning in classroom teaching. It makes intact and keep intact that bond of relationship as a teacher and student. But again, after almost 2.5 years, when again we are resuming the same platform, what kind of emotional as well as psychological issues, anxieties kind of issues may likely to be encountered when again we resume the same platform?
Are you asking me, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So I would say that all teachers should not go by the presumption that we'll see a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression in your classroom. So
anxiety may be there from the part of the students because
I will answer this, sir. Allow me to complete. Do not take hold a premise that सब बच्चे बहुत डरे होंगे, सब बच्चे बहुत मायूस होंगे, उदास होंगे. Remember, my dear teachers, you have 3 responsibilities, and not only sharing your learning, but remember sharing your life. All teachers, in my experience in the last 2 years, who have shared their lives in COVID are able to really relate to other children better, because children also identify with that. Number one. Number two is, remember, in teaching there is thinking time and there's feeling time. If you have 5 hours of teaching, remember 15% of the time is for feeling time, to ask children about their life. And 80% is the time for you to talk about your subject. So it is a chance, my dear teachers, to really emote with your children, because law is a very logical science. So what do you mean by emote? Which means keep a little buffer time in the beginning or the end. Look at the class and find out who looks disinterested, who looks extremely interested, who's extremely clingy to the teacher, which is also not right, and who appears very, very numb inside the class. And then it's so important to have that range, that Ravan's eyes, 10 pairs of eyes, and viewing them and helping them share how they felt and how they feel as of now. If the students are able to share their fears in the classroom, learning accelerates, because they believe that this teacher understands me. They believe that this teacher will take a greater effort. Having said this, I would say that when you share your vulnerability, my dear teachers, students will share theirs. It's not a strategy. It's an attitude which all of us should have as teachers. And when you do that, you're able to identify children who are at high risk, no concentration, absolute sadness, no sleep at all, do not know what to do. Parents don't understand. They push me to the college. And that's the time when you will link that student with your counseling center to find out if it's an issue, concern, stress, distress, or disorder, so that he or she can be helped at the earliest. Also, do not go and walk that extra mile, my dear teachers. कट्टे में बैठ के हॉस्टल में बच्चों के साथ बात करो. हाँ, क्लासरूम में होती है पढ़ाई, but casual conversation में ज़्यादा पढ़ाई होती है. So sometimes once in a week, sit down, go to the hostel or wherever your kids are, and call them for a cup of tea under the tree. Call them for chai, cutting chai somewhere. Call them for a vada pav, and sit down with them and keep it open. Don't keep it compulsory. And there would be some kids who come. And this gappa during non-teaching hours should be encouraged during the reintegration of children in the campus. That's the second thing which we can all do. Number 3 is give your phone numbers to your children, not to call them. Tell them you can actually, in confidence, send me a WhatsApp if you have anything which you need to actually talk and discuss. And teachers should form a mentors group, a mentoring group where they share the responsibilities of such issues with children. And if at all you hear any time that a student says he wants to really give up on anything, that's an emergency, and that is something we need to really do. So summarizing, feeling time, thinking time, share your vulnerabilities so that they share theirs. Have your friends inside the classroom who would come and inform you if somebody is unwell, and go to the hostel once in a while and have a gappa in the katta. Katta or gappa, we say it in Marathi, and that is something you all need to do. Over to Dhanaji.
Thank you, sir. There are a few questions in the chat box. I will pick up a few of those questions.
Yeah.
One question is there, what kind of a strategy, this is from Dr. Aparajita Mohanty, what kind of a strategic planning a teacher has to make, especially to motivate the students as to attend the physical classroom teaching learning?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I would say, I've always been saying this across the last 2 years, that every student should have got one phone call from the teacher once in 15 days. Which means if a class is of 100 and there are 8 teachers, one teacher should call one child, or at least one call should go from the campus every 15 days. And that will help them come to the campus. That will also help them to keep their bond alive. Number 1. Number 2, which we are experimenting in some colleges, is that we are asking the peer teachers, the students, to also share the responsibility of teaching, which means I will teach a chapter completely, but this case law, this part of the chapter, can you really teach in the class? And do not only talk to your clones, talk to those who are the toppers. You'll be surprised that the backbenchers will do probably a better job or as good as a job as the teacher. So sometimes sharing some part of your learning with students, and remember one thing, students will teach subjects in the most creative way than the teachers, and that personally should be shared with the students, those who are who volunteer. Number 3 is keep the window of questioning a little longer, because when you keep the window of questioning a little longer, you'll find emotions beneath the questions, emotions beneath the logical law question. I'll give an example. When you look at the debate on TV on Ukraine, I've made one observation. There's a lot of emotion coming up, and the views getting completely distorted. And the best way to understand this is to look at the emotions and not the views. So when you keep a window for asking questions, beneath the questions you'll find a lot of anger or sadness or fear, which also actually comes up. And the classroom is a counseling room, a counseling session. Classroom is a room for ventilation. Classroom is the Hyde Park of London. वहाँ कुछ भी आके मैं कुछ कह सकता हूँ, मुझे टीचर समझेंगे. Little more latitude and tons of creativity. Teach the chapter differently this year. Experiment completely and continuously in the class so that the book dances in the class, the pages dance on the book and the words dance on the page.
Thank you, sir. There is one question from Akash Pacheti. Is especially this is with respect to a cultural event, a Symbiosis, which is likely to happen in month of March, wherein a lot of students are interested into cultural, curricular and co-curricular activities. Still, it seems to be seems from his message that still there is an apprehension, because even if there are relaxations with respect to COVID guidelines, but still little bit apprehension is there, because maybe the students, they do have a variety of experience because of COVID pandemic. Their sufferings are different. Their even issues of emotional imbalances are there. So that still that apprehension persists. So how to overcome, how to tackle with this kind of a situation?
So we need to understand that there is somebody also said that he has multiple issues in the body. But remember, my dear guys, you may be having multiple comorbidities as a teacher or as a student. But what is very important is focus on your immunity. Focus on your lifestyle. Focus on your medication and see that you do 3 things every day effectively. Laughter, sharing of emotions, and doing something good for somebody. Kindness. Kindness not only is a sedative, but is also an immunity booster. And that is something which is very, very important. And if you're having a cultural festival, remember one thing. As of now, COVID has gone away almost. The number of cases have dropped. Deaths have dropped completely. Omicron has been extremely safe. But do not be reckless. Follow the normal guidelines, but do not hesitate to jump and dance. Do not use the guidelines so strongly that your body and your mind is inhibited. Allow your soul to fly, allow your heart to sing, and allow your body to move. And then you'll find your immunity is good, and your probability of being affected is also very less. And aparijata, as you said, motivation is like this. Remember aparijata, if you and I invite people for a party at home or anywhere, how do you invite? अरे कितना जोर शोर से इन्वाइट करता, आना ही पड़ेगा, आप नहीं आएंगे तो फिर मैं आपसे बात नहीं करूँ. And you do all sorts of communication styles which is part of the normal ingenuity of the human race. And you see that you people come to your place for lunch or for your dinner, and you are also very kind, caring, and compassionate. That is what you need to do all this. Remember, your college is not your college, but it's your family. And whatever you do with the other family members to invite them for your son's marriage or your daughter's marriage or for a function, do it with all the students. Do not expect the students to reciprocate equally. Yet, keep your smile alive, keep your zing alive, and keep your phone call alive. And if they have any questions, see that you answer them rationally, truthfully, not only with a lot of chest thumping, but also with a lot of logic and science. And Mr. Nair has said that there's fourth wave may not come. One second, Danaji. Mr. Suresh Nair has said fourth wave may not come. Is there any rationale? According to experts across the world, generally viruses which come like that slowly loses its efficacy after some time. It fades away and it becomes endemic. That is the science as of now. And as of now, everything has opened up across time. In Maharashtra, schools and colleges have opened up. In hotels and restaurants, the 50% thing has already gone, because the task force believes through evidence that the chances of getting infection is very, very low. So the rationale is experience across by experts. The number two is that virus generally fades away after some time, and the chance of the other waves becoming as bad is very less. And lastly, in spite of the fact that we cannot say for sure that in no waves would come, focus on your mental health, focus on immunity, you are saved from every virus. And that is what is important. Yes, Mr. Jadhav.
There are no more questions in the chat box. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No. There is a question. You cannot see it. It's a very important question. A very close friend of mine recently broke up with somebody. He was dating for about 3 years because of how they got distant due to COVID. This breakup has taken a toll on him and has led to him distancing himself from everybody, regardless of how much we have tried to reach out to him. It is like, I want to help him, but want to give him a space at the same time. How should I approach him? Dhanaji bhai, आता सगळ्यात मोठा important question आहे for the young, and that I think we should answer and we should respect. So, yeah. So remember one thing, my dear friends. If you are a close friend, this space base है ना, ये American concept है क्या? आप उनके घर में स्पेस बेस नहीं होता है, कोई किसको दुख है अपन सीधा पहुंच जाते हैं उधर, है क्या नहीं? सो सोनल को हिंदी नहीं आती है, अपन पहुंच जाते हैं. तो if he's your close friend, screw the space यार, knock the door and say I'm there for you, and don't hesitate. And why do we hesitate? Because we are scared of three things. We do not know whether we'll be accepted. We don't know whether we'll be able to help him. We don't know whether if I help him, things will work out. Nothing doing. Those friends for life, boss. And when you're friends for life, if you have heard the news that somebody has that he has had a breakup or she has had a breakup, go there without being invited. सीधा मुंह पे बोलने का, मैं इसीलिए आया कि तेरे में सुना है भाई, मैं तेरा दोस्त है ना, मैं तो कैसे छोड़ सकता हूँ. And that is what we can do. The concept of space and very strong boundaries around space is not Indian. Here in India, we encroach other spaces because here we are not I, we are we. I is my life. The psychiatrist in America will not share what the son is undergoing to his mother because confidentiality, but it's taking it too far. It's here it is we. And so please, my dear friend, go now, knock the door and say, I'm there. Even if it's very rude to you, say, nothing doing here, तेरे को अकेला नहीं छोड़ूंगा भाई. तुला मी एकटा सोडणार नाही, मी आहे तुझा बरोबर. And sometimes when you have had a breakup or when you fail an exam, you might be a very, very rude, still be there. Because the rudeness is not against you, it's not reflective of your friendship, but it's reflective of the pain the person is suffering. Thank you for that great question.
Thank you, sir, for answering all
Honor,
the
over to you.
questions. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for answering all the questions so patiently and addressing the concerns of the students and the parents in a detailed manner. I would also like to thank Dr. Dhanaji Jadhav, sir, for such a seamless moderation of the session. With this, I would now like to invite Dr. Aparajita Mohanty, ma'am, Associate Professor, Deputy Director Academics at Symbiosis Law School, Pune, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sonal. On behalf of the management, faculty, and staff of Symbiosis Law School, Pune, I express a warm vote of thanks to our esteemed guest for today's session, Dr. Harish Shetty, for delivering such a wonderful session on how to get back to pre-COVID normalcy, dilemma, and hope. Sir, your sessions are indeed very endearing and reassuring. You indeed inculcate a lot of confidence in the students and faculty alike. I'm sure the students who have attended today's session will benefit from it. And since today's session will also be on the YouTube, those who have not attended will also be inspired by today's session. I thank Dr. Gurpur for envisioning the need for such a session. Ma'am, your passion for the well-being of all students is very commendable, and I hope the students, including the members of SAB, which is present, all the members of SAB who are present today will understand the importance of this session. I thank the parents who have attended the session. I also thank the faculty who have attended today's session as a part of faculty development program. I thank the student members of program coordination and PR media who and the IT and IT support for their constant support and ensuring that the program has been executed seamlessly. And I thank the students. I thank all the students who have spared their time to attend this session.